We're live!
Yay! We did
Yay!
it.
Round of applause. We're back. Okay, so let's get back to it. And apologies. I hope everybody is watching. Please reshare if you didn't. We had some technical difficulties. But let's get this show started. Kiyohomi Takiape, Ava Cordovi Machiape, Malakota and Taos Pueblo. My Tama is Joseph Conquilla Cordova. My Ina or my cause, Patricia Crow Cordova. I'm sixth generation from Chief Red Cloud. I'm the owner operator of AC and Associates. I'm a mother, daughter, community member. I'm a caretaker, and I'm a co-host for Sissy's, Uncis, and Aunties, which is a monthly live podcast, live show, whatever you want to call it. We're live. Obviously, you know that because there was some technical difficulties that we had on our previous attempt. But it is May, Mental Health Awareness Month, and also American. I'm going to let Jen say what it is because she's good at that. So let me introduce my co-hosts, Jennifer Varenchuk, boo boo boo, and Justine Medina, boo boo boo.
Yay! We're here. We made it.
Yay.
I'll introduce myself. So, Skugtash, Aninap Chugik, Jennifer Varenchek, Aniot Tonoatam. Hi, everybody. My name is Jennifer, and I'm from the Tonoatam Nation. And I'm really happy to be here with you all. Yes, this is a live show. Yes, this is just 3 Native women trying to put together a live stream. And you know what? I think we're doing pretty good. We do have technical difficulties, but I think it's an important space for us to have an opportunity, number 1, to show our Indigenous faces, and number 2, to be able to talk about things that are important to us. So yes, we might struggle with some technical difficulties, but that's okay because we're still here. We're still here. All right, I'm going to pass it to Justine to let her introduce herself.
Hi everyone. I'll do my introductions. I'm still reading it from my notes, so hopefully one day I'll be able to do this without my notes. But Yate, Shik E, Do Shirne E, Shik E, Justine Medina, Yenashe, Snake Clan from Winnebago, Nashle, Nakai Bashachin, Nakai Dene, Dashache, Nakai Dashanelli. Hi everyone, my name is Justine Medina. My mom is from the Snake Clan from Winnebago. She's also Menominee. My dad is from Yucatan, Mexico. My maternal grandfather's clan is the Mexican clan, and then my paternal grandfather is from Yucatan, Mexico as well. I'm based out in the Bay Area, and I hold many roles. I currently am the membership and operations manager at Indigenous Journalists Association, formerly Native American Journalists Association. I'm a mother, a friend, and I'm always just trying to hang on and looking positive in life. And that is me.
And that is
So it is.
And so it is.
Is it me again? And going on into our show, we do a land acknowledgement. So right now, so I was currently in the Bay Area and I kind of moved. Well, I am in the Bay Area. It's a hot topic. I feel like I live in the suburbs now, so people don't. It's the East Bay. So, anyways, the territory that I'm on now is the Miwok and Yukon tribe. So just want to take a moment to honor the ancestors that were on this land before I am. I always acknowledge that I'm a settler out here. I love California, but these aren't my ancestors' homeland. So just want to take a moment to do that acknowledgement.
Well, thank you, Teeny, for that. I do want to also acknowledge I am zooming in or streaming in live from the nearest tribe to me is Snow Mountain Paiute area. And I'm sure all of you all know, have heard of it. It's also known as Las Vegas, Nevada. But it's my opportunity and time now to do a prayer. And man, do I need this prayer. I was freaking out, as you might or might have not seen in our previous live. And, um, you know, I'm okay now. I went through a little bit of something, but now I think being around friends and sisters and individuals who support me and say, you know what, it's okay, you're going to be okay. And I am okay. But um, I do want to say a blessing, and here is some California white sage that I harvest myself while I was in the Los Angeles area. Um, what I'm doing now is I lit it with some fire and there's smoke. So this is called smudging. So basically, I'm going to say a prayer, and the smoke that goes up will take our blessings up to Creator. I do want to say and acknowledge individuals that are posting in the chat. So chat, let us know where you're checking in from. Hi, Yolanda. She's in Echo Park area. A friend, former coworker, and I'm just going to say a prayer for all of us, myself included. So here we go. Creator, we come to you today with open hearts and open minds, thankful for the many blessings that you provide us on a minute, monthly, second basis, from the ability to walk, talk, be here today, to laugh, to learn, to listen, to overcome the things that seem overwhelming to us. Thank you, Creator, for allowing me this opportunity to say a few words. May I feel empowered. May I feel not less than. May I feel like everything is going to be okay. And it actually is. Creator, I'm thankful for all the many blessings that you provide, from the ability to be on this show with some amazing individuals, to speak to the universe, to speak to our communities, to speak virtually to so many great individuals that I've come across. Watch over them, Creator. Keep them healthy, wealthy, and safe. Continue to bless them as you blessed me. Continue to allow us to get through those things that we're going through, from grief, financial hardship, homelessness, depression, whatever it is that you're going through. We're all going through something, Creator. And we might feel overwhelmed at the time, but Creator, I know that with your blessings, with patience, and with understanding, this too shall pass. And I'm thankful, Creator, for just another day. Ta'a pilamayaye gracias satiehet ajona slay ajona slay ajona slay ajona slay. Oh, amen. I did say a prayer for everybody, but I also want to say I missed some, but some individuals. I mean, my prayers in general for community. However, I do want to say a special blessing to all of those graduates who just graduated or will be graduating. May there be strong, may you come to use your skills and your education in a good way, and bring back to Indian country your wealth, your knowledge, your awesomeness, just to be with you in whatever journey that you are going through. So blessings to you all as well. Thank you. That ends. Okay, I'm going to pass it over to Jen.
Yes. Hello. Thank you. I caught it. I received that. And thank you for the beautiful prayer. And also mentioning graduates. For today's check-in, so usually at the beginning of our live streams, we do a check-in where we just kind of like chit chat and talk about the subject of the day. And today we decided to do something a little bit different. And the reason was that it is Asian American and Native Hawaiian Pacific Islander month, Heritage Month, AANHPI. It's a lot. It's a mouthful. And so we were talking about it. It's also Mental Health Awareness Month. And so we decided that what we wanted to do was hey there. Hi, Sunny. we wanted to model to others what we would like for people to do during Native American Heritage Month, which is if you're not Indigenous, every November is Native American Heritage Month. At least it is so far. I don't know how long that will be lasting, but every November is Native American Heritage Month. And being Native, it's like it's a big deal. You know, I usually have a lot of speaking gigs that I have. It's a big deal for us as Indigenous people. But as non-Indigenous people, you are watching, you're the observer, but we want you to participate, which is what we are going to do today. We decided that we were going to research anything that we wanted to and bring it back to you all and share it. And so, I don't know, Teeny, were you able to do some research on any kind of subject having to do with AANHPI?
Yeah, I did, and
Ooh.
I was super excited to do the research. It was hard just to choose one person. I think the first thing that came off when I did research for AANHPI communities is like same with like Native communities. We're just so diverse. There's just, different communities within that community. And I was just like, oh man, there's just so much more to learn about their communities, how much they contribute to our rich like culture and history altogether. But the person, it's so hard to choose just one person. But the person I was very inspired and did not know any information about, I don't know if anyone else did know, but the person that I found from like a news article was Wong Kim Ark. They were born 1873, unknown death date, but they were, I think it was, yeah, he was a Chinese American whose landmarked U.S. Supreme Court case in 1898, it was United States versus Wong Kim Ark, affirmed a critical principle of American constitutional law. Okay, this is very fancy. Pretty much what it was is that like Wong Kim Ark was born in San Francisco, California, like around 1873 to Chinese immigrant parents who were legally residing in the U.S. but were not U.S. citizens. The incident was that like in 1985, after visiting China, Wong was denied re-entry into the United States by U.S. officials who claimed that he was not a citizen, citing the Chinese exclusion laws. So there was a legal battle. Wong sued the U.S. government, arguing that he was a citizen by birth under the 14th Amendment, which grants citizenship to all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof. He was I think he was a cook in San Francisco too. So I think just that was to me, that was very inspirational. And especially like right now when the topic came up again about like birthright citizenship. I think this is just like something that was inspirational and I did not know about. The end.
Nice. Thank you. I didn't know also about that. Obviously, I had no idea. I was like, it seems very like convenient about like what's happening now with well, I'll just say that. It's very it seems kind of, timely.
History repeats itself, it says sometimes, yeah. So I just thought that, yeah, it was timely. And it's just like, well, I didn't know that like our issues happening now with like birthright citizenship and being in the news now. I was like, it's not a new topic and I should have known that. But there we go. That was my person. So you're up next.
Yay, thank you. Okay, so for me, I started doing a lot of research on a variety of people, but what I'm actually going to do is it just kind of came naturally. So yesterday, first of all, I have to tell a big long story. So yesterday we were supposed to go to this fundraiser that was happening at the local YMCA in downtown Honolulu, which we went to, but it ended up not being what we thought. And since we already paid for parking, we were like, well, let's just walk around the park, which was the park of the palace, the former, or it is still the palace, but the former palace where King and the Queen lived and actually was in prison. And And so I just started spurting off facts that I was like, oh, I didn't know that my husband Glenn, I didn't know that he didn't know this. So I just started like sharing all these facts, and he was like really interested. And I was like, well, if he doesn't know, then I might as well tell everybody. So I do have a video. I don't know if I can play it, but I think it's uploading. But yeah, so let me tell you about the palace. Let me get my little slide here. So it's important to know that first that in 1843, the Hawaiian Kingdom was recognized as a completely independent nation by the USA, by Britain, by France. There was a variety of different countries that recognized Hawaii as its own individual country. And how I started the conversation with Glenn was that I was like, hey, did you know that the palace had electricity before the White House? And he was like, what, really? And I was like, yeah, you didn't know that? And he was like, no. And mind you, I've never been on the actual like tour. You know, they have like tours that you can go to, but I've been to lots of different protests and events that were there. And I don't know how I picked up this information, but I just did. And I was like, oh yeah, they also had toilets, like running water before the White House. And then before you know it, I was just spouting out these facts left and right. So in 1882, the palace completed indoor plumbing and had flush toilets. In 1887, they installed electric lights, which I think was like 4 years after the light bulb was invented. And again, this is before the White House, so 1887. Then, unfortunately, in 1893, the Queen Liliuokalani was overthrown by American businessmen and U.S. Marines. And I want to go a little bit more into that. So they went to, so they realized, meaning the business people, realized that the land was very lush and that they wanted to, they wanted this land for themselves. And because Hawaii was recognized by by other countries, there was really no way to like just take it over without any type of military support. And so they went to the president at the time and they asked him for support. And he was like, no, it's its own country. Like, you can't just take land by force. And they were like, well, we'll wait. So they waited until President McKinley, which is so interesting because we have a lot of McKinley like schools and McKinley things here. It was President Grover Cleveland. He was outraged and he said that you can't overthrow it, and it was illegal. And then they had to reinstate the queen because they were already starting to stage a coup. But President William McKinney, he came in and he supported them, and he pushed annexation. And they said that there was a Spanish-American War, so it wasn't done by a treaty, but by a joint resolution. And that's basically how Hawaii was given or taken to the United States. So they just took it. And of course, there was a lot of pushback. There was a lot of fighting and protests, but it was the military. And then later, when they were given in 1894, they were declared a republic, the Republic of Hawaii, by Sanford Dole. And when I say Dole, I mean Dole like Dole pineapple, which is why I tell people, like, do not go to the Dole plantation. I've been twice. Once when I didn't know and I just moved here and we all went as like a tourist thing. And then once because a friend of mine, his mother used to work on the plantation, so we wanted to go like see where she had worked. But other than that, I'm like, do not go to the Dole plantation, because it's very much like, Justine, you might be familiar with the nut tree in Sacramento area. It's kind of like that. They got like a train, and bakery. Not a bakery. Well, maybe they do have a bakery, but they have a bunch of stuff there. So anyways, so that happened in 1897. So 3 years after it became the Republic of Hawaii, Native Hawaiians submitted over 21,000 signatures opposing it. to little or no, nobody cared. In 1898, we got the annexation via something called the Newlands Resolution. Again, it wasn't a treaty. And then in 1900, Hawaii officially became a U.S. territory. And 1959, it's when it became the 50th state. So they did offer on the ballot. Basically, they said you, Hawaii, can either become a state or you can still remain an annexed territory. So there was no option of independence. So you had to vote for either, you know what I mean? Like one article was like, you can paint your cage gold or you can paint it silver. So there was no option for independence as they had been. But going back to the palace, the palace itself is still operational in that there's tours that go on daily, and it's the queen, she was held there in one of the rooms, in her room for a long time. That happened in 1893 where they did the overthrow of the queen, and one of her quotes is stealing. I have two quotes. Stealing Hawaii's sovereignty was a wholly selfish move for the United States to expand its territory, which is true. And then no nation has ever yet acquired dominion over another except for by use of superior force, which is what happened in this case. So that's my history that I wanted to share with you all. Now and the palace is still there. I don't think my video is going to play. I don't know why, but maybe I need to have like a permission or something. But I do have one of the palace that I could show you. Oh, there it is. There we are. So that's Gwen walking with Coco, and there's the flag, and that's the palace. So
thanks for sharing. I remember the first time I heard that story. I was actually like I went to like a conference, on like a missions conference, and someone that was attending was also Native Hawaiian. She told me the story, and she was like, and the Dole plantation helped overthrow the queen. I was like, what? Like, I had no idea whatsoever. But thanks for the in-depth. I think the one question I did have, and I could probably Google this, was like, did Hawaii have like a military when they were taken over? Or was it kind of like they didn't? I don't know.
I think that I don't think that they had a formal military. I don't know the true answer, but I think that like if you're facing the US military, like you know what I mean? Like you can't. And I'm reading this stuff and I'm like thinking of things like Greenland or whatever country they're trying, like they're just gonna take it. And that's like our first president, Cleveland, he was, against it. He was very against it. He was like, you can't just do that. And I feel like, that's very much how things are today. It's like, you can't do that. And they're like, you want to make a bet? Yes, we can. And they just wait until it's time. And then they just jump in and take it. And so I just want people to know that, like, I know that I am on illegally occupied territory. Oh, I did forget to mention that I think it was Clinton who offered a formal apology saying, that they're sorry that they did that. It doesn't really help, but um, I'll have to find it. I'll have to find the date, but it
Found it.
was more recent that they recognize that there's an issue.
It was on November 23rd, 1993 when they signed it.
Mm,
President Bill Clinton signed a public law, also known as the Apology Resolution.
there you go.
I'm going to read this later.
Yeah.
I've also put it in the chat too. So if people want to click on it, they can go ahead and do that.
Thank you. And thank you, Shauna, for liking my t-shirt. I appreciate that. And I got the shirt because I said I wanted this shirt, Indigenous and Barbie print. And then Stefan, he is a friend of all of ours, and he found it on the internet and he sent me the link and I ordered it. So there you go. I'm very pink today. I mean, I'm pink most of the time, but like today I went ultra. Alyssa Willie, by the way, shout out Alyssa Willie.
I love Alyssa Willie. Cool. That was very educational.
Mm-hmm. I think that is it for educational stuff because April had been busy with her with our pre-show. Is that correct, April?
Yes.
Okay.
And if you watch the first attempt, you would have saw all the exciting things that are happening through Indian country. We always have a pre-show with events and information throughout Indian country. And just FYI, if you want to send me some flyers, we'd be happy to promote them for you. So I'll put in the chat not the chat, but I'll put on the screen my information. You can always reach out to me via Linktree, and feel free to send me those flyers. But as we move on, we're moving on to the next segment. May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And mental health awareness is important for all of us. And I know that we were going to have maybe a question and provide some information. So I want to go ahead and put in our question and see how you guys all also have will answer this. Feel free to share. I was thinking before we were coming on here, and I always think, when I'm surrounded by good people such as Jen and Justine, I'm very open and feel safe to talk. And I know the internet can be good and bad, but here it is a safe space. I think it's a safe space for us. So the question is, how has your understanding of mental health changed over the years? We can go ahead and, if you want to put that in the chat, go ahead and do that. But I also want to take some time to introduce some things that I found, which were some contacts or resources. If you are in need of speaking to somebody or talking to somebody, there's a lot of times where individuals might feel like they don't have anybody to talk to. So there's the Strong Hearts Native Helpline, which their telephone number is listed there. Also, they're available to text. So send a text to receive support. They also have their website. And one of the things that I definitely want to let you all know is we are not therapists. We're not therapists. We're not professionals. We're not doctors. We are just friends that are here talking amongst each other. And, different people talk to different individuals, different different things to get through the day. Today, as you saw earlier, I was freaking out, and I had Justine and Jennifer to help me get through that. But if you need support, or you need somebody to talk to, Strong Hearts Native Helpline is a great resource. There's also another resource that is in the United States. You can call or dial 988 to speak directly with a trained crisis counselor. You can also send them a text at that same number 988 to connect with the crisis counselor via text. Or you can visit their website at 988lifeline.org to access that. And I'll go ahead and put that in the chat as well. But I do want to go back to the question that I had originally said is, how has your understanding of mental health changed over the years? And I'll pass it over to anybody that'd like to answer.
I'll go. Justine, did you want to answer?
I can go.
Okay, good.
Yeah. I was waiting who's gonna go. How has your understanding mental health changed over years? So I'm gonna be 35 this year, and when we first started talking about this question, I thought about the first time I saw a therapist. It was through UAI, actually, y'all. And I was probably a junior in high school, so I was probably 15 or 16. And I think from then, like, it was kind of cool just to have someone to talk to that wasn't my mom or my dad. Like, just that's how I saw it. Like, just like, oh, I want to talk to this person. And I think, like, over the years, the main thing that's standing out to me now, I feel like I've been chipping away at mental health. I've seen different therapists too. I've used therapists at Indigenous Circle of Wellness, therapists navigating like through my insurance, paying out of network. And I think the one thing I know now as like a 35-year-old, well, soon to be 35-year-old, is that like mental health is never ending. I feel like it's always something that you're always going to be working on. And well, personally, that's me personally. That's something I'm always working on day to day of like, how do I need to check in with myself and my mental health? Who do I need to talk to about things? I think that's I feel it in my body sometimes when I have to talk to someone. But yeah, I think that's how my understanding of mental health has changed over the years. I used to think it was like a one-time thing, like I did my therapy and that was it. But no, it's like an everyday check-in, weekly check-in, as much as I need it, to be honest. I think that's the one thing that's changed over the years. And I was never in the taboo of like, it's bad for you. I never really felt that way, that therapy was bad for me, which was kind of cool now I think about it, because some people really have negative views about it. But I guess that's because I like talking a lot. So and I like talking about my feelings, maybe. I don't know. But I never saw that it was bad, and I never was ashamed to tell people that I would see a therapy. I actually kind of like was proud of myself that I went to go see a therapist. I don't know. That's how my understanding has changed over the years. So
Thanks for sharing. I appreciate you saying that. And there are a lot of different, I put 2 in the comments, but we can talk about a lot of different places, which you touched on. If you have insurance, health insurance, it usually is included in your health insurance. A lot of IHS, Indian Health Services, offer behavioral health. There's also great places in Los Angeles and the LA Indian community that incorporate cultural with mental health. I used to work also at UAII and was in 7 Generations. And we did a lot of incorporation of cultural activities such as sage harvesting or, different stuff like that. But I also want to say that mental health also is different for everybody. It looks different for everybody. We have I'm a caretaker, so that older generation might not necessarily have always believed that it was okay to talk to somebody, and now as they're getting older, that might be something that they might need. I recently did a elders gathering with the Sha'onali Sister Project, and we talked a lot on mental health because that's not talked about, that I've seen in the elder community for a lot. We always gear towards youth, or but I think it's important just to sit and visit. I think that's what we as Indian people do, go and sit and visit and talk, and that's the opportunity for individuals to catch up. So for myself, when my mom passed away, it really hit me hard, and I was like, thinking I worked in a mental health department, and I felt like I really needed it. Actually, it wasn't my mom that passed away, it was my dad. When my dad passed away, and I tried to see a therapist through my health insurance. One thing that I found out is, like, it took me like 2 months just to get a appointment with somebody, because the wait time for so many different places were so long. And then when I did get the opportunity to go see a therapist, it wasn't for me. And I'm glad that you mentioned that too, Justine, because it's different for everybody. But I don't know. I just didn't connect. And I know also, and I used to say this to people that saw therapists, that families that I worked with, is that you can always change your therapist. You always have that opportunity. But the thing that did work for me was sweat. When I went back home and I went to sweat, that was the thing that really helped me, was doing ceremonial activities and being connected to how my family has always use ceremonial activities to heal. So that's what I would like to say in this portion. Thank you. The end.
No, thanks for sharing that. I wanted to mention that too. Is just like therapy worked for me, but there's different avenues that people can use, and it looks differently for different people. So thank you. Go ahead, Jen. Sorry.
No worries. Yeah, thank you both ladies for sharing. I feel like I'm a little bit of a combination of the two. So as a young person, I don't remember how young I was, but I do know that I've been a part of either family therapy or individual therapy for a long time. My family went to therapy due to one of my brothers needing therapy, and part of it was like family therapy. And then when my parents were going through divorce, then we all had to go to therapy. And we did that classic Bart Simpson episode where like everyone got like a padded thing and we could hit each other with it. I remember that because there was rage in me and I was raging even though I had like these padded things and we had anyways, but that's so that was therapy. So I had like a variety of like therapy. Also when my brother was in rehab, and then they had family day, so that was like another kind of therapy where we all had to sit in a circle and there was like a therapist. So I feel like I've been exposed to a variety of different types of therapy, and that helped me kind of see mental health, my own personal mental health. I thought in the beginning that it always was like another person, that like you needed to speak to another person, like go to a therapist or a psychologist. And now that I am older, I realize that for myself, because we're talking about our own personal journeys, is that a lot of it is on my own analysis of my own like emotions that are coming up. So it's definitely changed from like being like I need to speak this out to another person in order to get it out, which I still do. And I appreciate you ladies so much because I know that we do that with each other. But now when I have an extreme situation with an extreme emotional reaction within me, my first thought is hysterical is historical. So like if I'm like hysterical over something, like really upset, I'm like, okay, it's historical. There's something there inside Jennifer that we got to figure out what's going on here. Because I'm being triggered. This current event is triggering me to subconsciously remember something that happened. And like I go through my own little process that I do to figure that out. And so my mental health understanding has shifted. And just like Teeny said, like it's ongoing. Like I will never be like completely healed or whatever, because there's always more. There's always more to uncover. We're like onions, I think. And I think earlier I may have thought, like in my teens and 20s, I may have thought like, oh, you go to therapy, you're good, you're done. Like you're done. And I say to that, no. Like, I mean, you could be, but if we all want to be like the best human being that we can be, like the best possible versions of ourselves, which I do, I strive to try and be, I know I have great potential and I want to fulfill that potential. So part of that is helping to get my mind settled, clear. I've gone through a lot of trauma in my life, and just like to deal with that. So that is my answer to my understanding of mental health. Thank you.
Awesome. I really appreciate you all for, wanting to talk about this and us needing to talk about this. But mental health can be triggered in different ways. And I know while we were planning the show, we were talking about different things. So, Jen, I don't know if I want to pass it over to you and have you speak on this portion. And because we did have some technical issues on the beginning, we're going to push it a little bit past 6:30, but not past, this will be the last portion of it. And we'll come back with it if you guys all want chat. Let us know if you guys want to continue to hear this. But go ahead, Jen.
So we were talking about toxic work environments, and we were talking about how even on reservation dogs, there was the example, and we all laughed and we all thought it was funny, of the IHS worker, the receptionist, who's just like has attitude and is rude, and it's hilarious and we love it. But at the same time, it's not funny. It's not funny, especially when you have to work with a person like that. And I know for myself, I worked at a place that had a person like that. And that person was either, it was hot or cold. So some days I might come in and I might get a hello. And some days I might get a window shut in my face and like rude comments. And it became very like I'm walking on eggshells just to check in at my work. And it took a lot of time, but I finally wrote a letter to my supervisor to be like, this is unacceptable. Like, I shouldn't have to feel like this. And if I feel like this, how is she treating like our clients? So anyways, we talked about lateral violence. That was like not part of our staged conversation, guys, but I just had to get that story out. We talked about lateral violence and how, unfortunately, in a lot of Indigenous, Native, IHS offices, nonprofits, tribal offices, youth working departments, whatever, we have this lateral violence against each other. And like, what can you do in that type of situation? And I gave my example, which is like, I wrote a letter and I like basically stood up for myself and was like, no, this is unacceptable. like, I'm not saying she needed to be fired, although basically she should have been, but that's not my department, you know. But I am saying, like, we need to put this stuff in check. And if you don't have the capacity, because this went on for months for me, then that's when you have to, like, what can you do about it? And I think that's where our conversation is today. Like, what can you do about it while you're like trying to get your, your steam going so you can actually like stand up for yourself. So ladies, anyone?
I have a lot to say about it. And I just want to also put we're using lateral violence, but some people might not know what lateral violence is or what lateral violence means. So lateral violence is refers to harmful behaviors such as bullying, gossiping, shaming, blaming, undermining, and passively aggressive acts. For myself, I try to. I'm sorry, I have a visitor here, and she's just staring at me. Go ahead.
Okay. Do you want me to go?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Just jumping into this conversation. I think I've definitely experienced, I don't know, I've definitely experienced a toxic environment, especially work environments. And, I think I'm sad to say I'm always going to experience maybe toxic work environments, but I think what has to change is like how I react to them or how I give power to them or how I can recognize it and name that this is a toxic environment and do I want to engage in it and do I not want to engage in it. I think for me, I think toxic work environments or toxic environments in general change the individual. So I know from my experience, they've changed me more than I've changed the environment. So somehow I get into the environment and I'm like this person I don't even know, like talking about other people or I'm like watching my back or like on edge. And that's just not a person who I like to be. So when I recognize that I'm in these like different toxic environments, I think as I'm getting older, I'm really trying to recognize how to identify them and how to really not give my power to these toxic environments and to hone that in. I think when I was applying to something and I had said in my letter statement, like in a situation that had happened, I had, you know, I wasn't myself and I raised my voice and I knew to my core that was wrong. Like what I did was wrong. And it just sucked that I went through that and I made that mistake of having to raise my voice at someone. But I also wanted to, I said in my statement, like, I want to pay it forward. I want to be able to mentor other young people who are also my age that deal with this toxic environment and feel like they're so helpless where they have to raise their voice. And like, how do we as individuals and young leaders are able to like really, get into that mental like shift of like, I feel like I'm thinking of like calmness or mindfulness when this happens, or like channel my inner Kobe Bryant, like let's calm down right now and let's think about like how you're gonna react towards this, because when that reaction does come out, you obviously it's coming out of pain, it's coming out of frustration, and navigating that mental health for me, it's been sometimes it's challenging when you're in that toxic environment because you're just in it. So I think some days it's survival, but also some days, it's like talking to Jen and Avril, talking to my therapist, making sure that I do little things for myself. Even the other day, I navigate my mental health now too, is by taking a walk. Also, big win here, y'all. My blood pressure has been up for the past couple months and it finally lowered down this past week. So and I think it's been stress management. And it's also something simple as like putting on my headphones and listening to music and just dancing, like not caring or what's like anyone looking at me in my own house and just dancing. So I think navigating my mental health when experiencing toxic environments is I think it's making sure I don't lose myself and what I enjoy in it. But just wanted to share that. I can talk about this on, and we can all have a book about it. But yeah.
Thanks for sharing, Justine. I really appreciate you being open to, being able to recognize where that come from, and in your soul knowing that it was wrong, but being able to talk openly about it, because that's how we heal instead of pushing it down. I know in the comments we have a lot of individuals saying different things, and I'm really appreciative and glad that we were able to talk about this, especially during Mental Health Awareness Month. I know this can be hard for many people, and a lot of people have experienced different types of toxic environments in the workplaces, or gossip online, can be that keyboard person, that person behind the keyboard, a shield. And, like Shauna says, it's okay. No one is perfect. She yells too, and she has a hearing problem. But as long as we're like recognizing it, and for myself, I have a very small circle of individuals that um, I share a lot with. But I also think that stepping away from, making sure that I have boundaries is what I'm trying to say. I might not like the way somebody else acts, or the way somebody else is, and that's that's them and not me. And what I can do for myself is step back and make sure that my circle and my sense of who I am and my surroundings are what I can control, because I can't control anybody else's emotions. I can only control how I react or how I respond. So, but I also want to say that us being able to speak about this openly tonight is us, like I put in the comments, this uplifting our connection, and healing, and being able to break those cycles, or even understand. And if somebody is feeling this right now, we're not speaking to anybody directly. We're just speaking in general. And again, we're just a bunch of friends. Jen, I think, has had the most education around this, with regards to school, and being able to just speak openly and honestly about it. That's it. The end. Thank you.
Thank you, Avril. I wanted to say before we go that if you are on the receiving end, like a friend is coming to you and telling, they're venting to you, this is one thing that I really appreciate about Avril and I and our relationship, is that we're like, okay, do you want me to give you feedback, or do you just want me to hear you? Like, because sometimes you just want to say things and you don't want people to tell you suggestions and help you solve the problem. You just want to blah, and then sometimes you do need help. So it's good as a listener. It might seem awkward at first, but like it's second nature for us now. Just like it is very second nature for us to ask each other to pray together or something like that. But I encourage you to incorporate that into your friendships. It's just like being like, okay, yeah, I got you, girl. I got you. But do you want me to listen, or do you want me to give you feedback? Like how do you want me to respond? I think can be helpful.
I love that you say that, Jen, because my daughter, she'll come to me. She has always come to me with stuff, and in my thinking, or how I used to be, I always like look for resources, or how can I fix it, or how can I help you? And there's been several times where she says, "Mom, I don't need you to do anything. I just need you to listen." And with that as well, I'm like, "Oh, let me stay in my lane," and I love that me and Jen, can say, "Thank you for being a soundboard." I just need to turn it all over to somebody. And I know, Jen, you said that you may talk about this or you may not talk about it, but sometimes, writing stuff down either on the computer or journaling, or, I haven't journaled in a long time. But I've had a lot of things that are going on in my personal life that have kept me busy. But also prayer, earlier. So my grandkids keep walking into my room, and, I was praying, and I don't know if you saw me, but I was like putting my hand, to like, go out. But as I'm praying, and Jen and Teeny took it over, I put myself on mute, and my grandson was like, "Can I have some of that medicine?" And I was like, here I am trying to look all professional, and telling him to go away. And yet he just wanted medicine, So even staying grounded in the everything that's happening around me is like, just calm down. Like, I'm so like, because of how, this started, but ultimately this is what we wanted to talk about today. And I just want to say thank you all for showing up, for being here, for listening. I see a lot of comments that are in that are being listed, and some great individuals: Shauna, Annalise, Kathleen, Leah, my girl Leah, just showing up. And I just want to say thank you for watching and listening. That's it. The end. La la la.
Awesome. Well, I know we lost Justine because she had to go. So I think that's going to be our closing for today. Thank you for those that are still with us. We had a rocky start, but I promise you, we just keep getting better and better. And next month, we will have another live stream for you, June 19th, 5:30 Pacific Standard Time. And we look forward to talking to you then. I think that's it on my end. April, do you have anything?
I do. Real quick, if you have any ideas on topics that you'd like us to speak on, if you have any flyers that you want to share with us, please feel free to send them to us, either myself or Jen or Justine. You can always DM us or send us some information. We would love to share, great things that are happening in Indian country. June is Pride Month, so we're going to be speaking around that. And if anybody would like to be a guest, Daryl, Conquering Bear, if you're out there, I'm supposed to contact you. But if you'd like to be a guest with us, please get in touch with us, get in touch with me. We appreciate you for sticking around. That is the end of our show, and we will see you next month. See you guys. Be safe. Safe travels to wherever you are. Ta'a.
Hello.
Toksha.